that we are going racing, and Fabio Quartararo gets away. Big wheelie though from Jorge Martin. Look at all the people getting bogged down quite literally at the start, and it's Miguel Oliveira coming through from the third row of the grid from 7th place. He's going to challenge Quartararo. Alex Rins from the third row, he's in 8th, but he's run very, very wide in turn 1. So it is Quartararo leading from Oliveira, and one of the Pramac riders, I'm assuming it's Zarco on the inside, yes it is, also coming through. One of the factory Ducatis, I believe that is going to be Jack Miller. Of course it's Jack Miller, he's going to love these conditions, of course he's won in the wet previously.
Yeah, Zarco's coming through, Gav, but he got a terrible start off the line. He just went backward, but since then he's made up some ground. And in these conditions, if you can lead, it's such an advantage. You've got no spray on your visor, you can see everything so clearly. So Quartararo's in such a good place right now.
Yeah, and don't forget, he finished on the podium at home in Le Mans when we had a flag-to-flag race last year, and he came through behind Jack Miller and Johan Zarco. Also, when Petrucci won a couple of years ago, keep an eye on Paul Espargaro, because he's good in these conditions. He finished on the podium on that day on the KTM. Here is the leader, Fabio Quartararo from Miguel Oliveira, then it's Jack Miller in third, Alex Rins is in 4th place, then it's Johan Zarco from Jorge Martin with Frankie Morbidelli making a decent start. Joan Mir is already up into 8th place from 18th on the grid.
If there's anything we could have learned from the World Superbike race back in November, is this track is super grippy in these conditions. You can see lap times inside 10 seconds of a dry lap time, so and I'm sure the riders will be well aware of that, because if you can tell already how fast they're going.
And look at this, and look at that straight away. Fabio Quartararo wasn't too happy, was he, about leading onto the straight? The thing is, Neil, in these conditions, when there's this much spray, the best place to be, almost, is at the front. You don't necessarily want to be the scout. Oh, for the whole field as Miller and Quartararo almost come together in there, but Miller just breezed past Fabio. You get the spray effect, that's another thing, but if you're out front, you haven't got that issue.
No, absolutely. And Jack Miller, we know how experienced in these conditions. And it's almost like he's got that positive mental attitude in tricky, wet conditions. He's got that free sort of Aussie, it'll be all right, and just give it a go. And that helps so much. If you're tense, if you're nervous in these conditions, it's really difficult to feel the tyres, understand what the motorcycle's doing. So, yeah, Jack's doing a great job here.
And he's going to come through, he's going to go straight away, past Miguel Oliveira. He takes charge of this race, and as you said, grip levels are good here in the wet conditions. That's what we learned from the end of last year when World Superbike came in. Remember, they postponed their first race because of similar conditions we've seen today, but we are racing here, and almost, Neil, you have to trust the surface, trust the fact that there's going to be grip for you.
Yeah, which is so much easier said than done. Absolutely. On the opening laps. Don't get me wrong, you can wait for the race to come to you, but if someone risks a lot like somebody like Jack Miller's prepared to do, he will be long gone. So in the Superbike race, it took them a few laps to realise that, and it was the last laps where they really started to almost trust the grip. But like I said, riders like Jack Miller and Miguel Oliveira, he's always been good in the wet, are prepared to risk a bit more.
2 laps down, 18 to go. Miller is the fastest rider on the circuit. He's doing a 141.92. Miguel Oliveira is 142.8. The other riders in the 42s, Rins at 42.5, and Joan Mir at 42.4. He's motoring on, is the 2020 world champion. Their race was pretty much done, wasn't it, if it was going to be in the hot conditions at Suzuki? And look at it, how it can turn round just with a change in the climactic conditions.
Yeah, don't you feel like that's going to be a story of this season, from one week to the next? Some people having great, strong weekends, and then you get to the next track and the bike's not working if they haven't got the right tyres on. So it's going to be an interesting year. Just looking down, Enea Bastianini, the championship leader's down in 16th, and he's lapping 4 seconds a lap slower than the top guys. And he's obviously riding tight, he's waiting for the race to come to him, but when you're 4 seconds a lap off the pace, well, look,
he's already 10 seconds behind. Already.
Exactly. By the time you're 5 laps in, your race is done.
Everyone's gone with those medium tyres in the end. The ones suggested to us by Piero. Binder doesn't need a second invitation to reclaim 8th spot. I thought there was going to be contact, but it's Binder leading that group. Darren Binder, that is. Brilliant ride from the rookie. Fantastic for that new with you R&F racing team. You'd have thought it'd have been Dobby on a day like this. Oh, as Bastianini fires it through on the inside, through that kink in there. That is incredible from Enea Bastianini.
Yeah, but hey, Darren's having none of it. Nothing over throughout his career. Just brake after the person in front of you hit the brakes and you'll pass them. That's
the law of the jungle that he's grown up with, isn't it? Definitely, it's been like that ever since he was a kid. Here comes Aleix is going to come through on the inside of Bastianini now. This is superb. But unfortunately, this battle is for 8th place, however good it is, as now Brad Binder gets involved. This one's going to get tight towards the end. We're on to our last lap. This race has absolutely flown by. Of course, it was reduced from the start. But wet races just seem to last and last on some occasions. Today, it's been non-stop action. Oliveira out front in a league of his own. He should be able to bring it round throughout this final lap. 2.6 miles of the track. He's got 2.8 seconds on Fabio Quartararo. Quartararo, for me, is the one who's really come to the fore. Everything to lose today. And yet, he's ridden through the field. He's risking even on this last lap.
Incredible to be out on the curbs there with a little bit of lean angle. I don't want this to sound bad, Miguel, but I'd rather be watching the battle for 8th, because that's going to be harem-scarem, isn't it?
Well, without a doubt, as he comes around through turn 11 now into 11, a little flick onto the left. That patch of water, every single time I see it, I think, oh, I'll go near it, but they just pulled the bike back round through 12. Here we go then for Miguel Oliveira. Last year, you remember that run of 3 podiums in a row, had the win in Barcelona, when I have to say it was a case of survival of the fittest, and he showed, Neil, on that day he had what it takes to be at the top in MotoGP.
Yeah, stunning. It's a typical Oliveira ride. If he gets out into the front and he feels confident with that KTM, this is what he can do.
On the KTM, a 4th Grand Prix victory, but first of the season for the Austrian manufacturer. It's victory for Miguel Oliveira in Indonesia in horrible conditions. Fabio Quartararo takes a brilliant 2nd place. Johan Zarco is 3rd, with Jack Miller off the podium cruelly in 4th. The Suzuki's pick up good points in 5th and 6th place. Then it's going to be Frankie Morbidelli next across the line, and it looks to me like actually Brad Binder has made it to the front of this group at the end of the race. It is going to be from Aleix Espargaro, Pol Espargaro back in 12th. It's Brad across the line from Aleix, and then it's Darren from Enea Bastianini and Pol Espargaro